Hello. Well, well. Somebody finally graces me with their company. I usually come out here to avoid people. And who are you, the city guard? I'm hunting. What's it look like I'm doing? For your information, I've been tracking a bear on the ice floes below. I could use some extra furs. I'm Ivar, by the way. Hey, you look like you can handle yourself. Would you mind giving me a hand taking it down? Better odds that way. I suppose that's a fair question. Well, I don't exactly have heavy pockets, but I do have this amulet. It's imbued with Skaal magic. I guess you could say it's sort of a family heirloom. It should fetch a good price back in town. Help me and it's yours. What do you say? Thank you, I appreciate it. Let's get going. Hopefully we get lucky and catch it by surprise. Either way, be careful. The bears this far north are much more deadly. I'll cover you. The cold embrace of death. Thank you. I'm not sure I would have managed on my own. I'm glad I didn't have to find out. Well, there's enough fur here to keep me warm. Now, as for the meat, that should make one hell of a stew. Have you ever had bear stew? Well, then you don't know what you're missing. Tell you what, I have another offer. Let me come with you wherever you're going. I've been wanting to get out and explore, and you seem like the well-traveled type. Can hold your own in a fight, too. If you let me tag along, I'll make you some bear stew at the next inn we stop at. Nothing better to warm your bones after a hunt. What do you say? Yeah, we did, didn't we? Let's find a tavern and warm up. Maybe get to know each other a bit. Drinks on me. Oh, and before I forget, here's your payment. Let's go. Wow, would you look at that? Hey, I just wanted to say thanks again for helping me out back there. That's not exactly something I'm used to. Having help, I mean. I've always been kind of a lone wolf, so here's a little something I made to show my gratitude. It's the bear stew I promised you. It's kind of a traditional recipe. My uncle taught me how to make it. It's not quite an emperor's feast, but it'll fill your belly. I do hope you like it. Sure. What would you like to know? Oh, right. Yeah, my Uncle Agnar gave it to me when I was a boy. He's the one that raised me. I grew up in Windhelm and never actually knew my parents. Supposedly the amulet belonged to them. My uncle gave it to me when I was old enough as a way to maintain a bond with them. He always said the enchantment on it would be my parents' way of keeping me safe from afar. I was born in Skaal village on Solstheim, but I was sent here to Skyrim when I was too young to remember. According to my uncle, they wanted me to see the world and have the chance to live a life beyond the village. And since he was already living in Windhelm at the time, he agreed to take me in. My parents never had much in the way of money, but they managed to barter passage for me on a merchant ship to the mainland. And so, Windhelm became my home. To be honest, I've been in pretty dire straits for a bit. My uncle passed some time ago and I've been on my own ever since. I was getting pretty desperate for a successful hunt, and I wasn't entirely sure I could take that bear on my own. He was bigger than usual. So, when I saw you come along, I knew I needed a way to secure your help. Plus, I was hungry. I don't always think straight when I'm hungry. Are you sure? Sentimental value aside, it was my decision to offer it as payment. Wow. You... you don't know how much this means to me. That amulet is all that I have of their memory. You have a good heart. That can be a hard thing to find in this world. Truly, thank you. Not as depressing as you're probably thinking. For one, we might not have had much, but we always had what we needed. I have fond memories of coming home from a day at the markets to something delicious smelling cooking over the fire. For another, I actually love the cold and snow. Always have. Fair enough, but it's a little deeper for me than that. My uncle and I always had a tradition where we would go out for a hunt on the first snowfall of the year. Then we'd get a campfire going and just stare up at the stars. Have you ever stopped to stare at the stars on a clear, snowy night? Well, believe me when I say, there are few feelings that can make you feel more alive. Sure. What would you like to know? Well, I'm a Nord, so if you guessed I'm good with an axe, you're damn right. I can fight with a sword or a mace, but an axe in my hand just feels right. Yeah, my uncle taught me everything he knew of Skaal frost magic. We'd often have lessons late into the evening after dinner. It became sort of a daily routine. I got pretty good with it, good enough to put an ice spear between the eyes anyway. It's also a lot easier to take your opponent's head off with an axe after you've slowed their movements by freezing them to the core. Skaal shamans are known for being able to summon the spirits of wolves and bears. I've been practicing that technique since I was a kid, so I can help us even the odds when we're outnumbered. A spectral wolf is a good friend to have at your side, believe me. No, only the most adept of shamans can do that, and my uncle left the village before he could master it. I sure would like to learn, though. Of course, he was a shaman of the Skaal back when he still lived in the village. He was a skilled frostcaster and summoner, and lived with my parents who were the best hunters in the village. He loved to pour himself a glass of wine in the evenings and tell tales of what life was like back on the island. From how he described it, it was simple but very tough. The Skaal believe in being self-sufficient, so they don't bring in much in the way of outside trade. They hunt only what they need and take nothing from the land that isn't required. Winters on the island are long, and the animals there are fierce. He loved to go on and on about the glorious hunts of his day, and in his stories, the netches they would hunt were always the size of dragons. I always suspected that was just the wine talking, though. Well, knowing him, I think curiosity about the outside world just built up in him and eventually got the better of him. One summer, they hosted a traveling scholar who was there to study Skaal traditions. It didn't take long for them to become fast friends. And when it came time for the scholar to head back to Skyrim, my uncle decided on a whim to pack up and leave with him. So they headed out together on the first ship to Windhelm. My uncle got a job working at the lumber mill, and well, you know where I come in. It's okay. I've told you this much. He was killed some years ago at sea on his way to Solitude. He loved to travel, but after he took me in, he didn't get to do as much as he did before. I never told him, but I always felt guilty about that. So when an opportunity came up for a bargain price on a ship bound for Solitude, I was the one who encouraged him to go. The last memory I have of him is seeing him off at the docks, with a smile on his face, waving at me as his ship left the harbor. So, you can imagine how I felt when I heard the news that his ship never made it. I know that, but I still can't help but feel responsible. Who knows how things would have turned out if I didn't encourage him to get on that ship. At least he went out doing something he loved, and I'm grateful the last memory I have of him is a happy one. I sure do miss him, though. Oh, we're gonna go there, are we? You don't want to have a few more drinks first? No? Okay, fine. You know, sometimes I do think Skyrim would be better off without the Empire. I don't worship Talos, but I can't say I'm comfortable with the idea of giving the Thalmor free rein to snatch up anybody who does. You can never achieve peace through oppression. But having grown up in Windhelm, I'm also not convinced that Ulfric is the one we should be rallying around either. I've seen firsthand his disregard for my friends in the Grey Quarter, and he won't even let the Argonians come into the city. He knows how to inflame division and turn people against each other for his own gain. And if he can't, or won't unite Windhelm, then how can he be trusted to unite all of Skyrim? If we are gonna separate from the Empire, we're gonna need that unity. Building a Skyrim that serves all of its people is the only way we'll survive on our own. I want Skyrim to be welcoming for everyone. I know we aren't there yet, and I know there are assholes who don't want to see us get there. But I think there are more of us who do. And one more thing, I want you to feel safe traveling with me. So if at any point, anybody ever makes you feel like you aren't an equal, or like you're somehow less, you can count on me to have your back. No. Once when I was younger, I asked my uncle if we could go. His eyes teared up, and he told me it was too painful for him to go back. Apparently, my parents were killed not long after I was sent to Skyrim, ambushed by a large pack of wolves while out on a hunt. He said there was no longer anything for him there, so the question never came up again. But it's always been something I want to do. Hey, this might not be the right time to ask, but are you planning on going there in your travels? I get that. Like I said, it probably wasn't the right time for me to ask. I'm just happy to be fighting at your side. I feel a little less alone now. Thank you for bringing me along. Hey, I want to ask you something. Would you like to do some hunting out here? Sure, why not? The wilds of Skyrim hold all kinds of game and wild beasts. It'll be a good way to stock up on pelts and supplies. Not to mention keep our combat skills sharp. But I know we've got places to go and things to do and all that, so it doesn't have to be right now. But whenever you're up for a challenge, talk to me anytime we're in the wild. Anything dangerous. There's no honor in hunting something that can't defend itself. Let's keep an eye out for bears, saber cats, trolls, or even frostbite spiders. You know, anything that can kill you if you're careless. Chasing a deer is fine when you're starving, but no bard'll sing a song about that fight. Just talk to me when we're in the wild, and I'll scout the area for worthy prey. Say no more. I'll go ahead and scout the surroundings. Let's take a look. Now this looks like a good spot. Let's check further ahead. I bet we'll find something. I see a saber cat ahead. Watch those fangs. They're as lethal as any sword. I think I'd like one as a trophy. Heads up. Come on. Aye, we make a damn good team, don't we? Let's take what we can use from it so its death wasn't in vain. Well done. Anything I can do for you? I worship one deity, and it's a hell of a lot easier than keeping track of 8. Or 9, I guess? Whatever. Anyway, he's called the All-Maker. If you want, I'd be happy to tell you a bit about him. Well, the Skaal believe the All-Maker is the creator of all life. Men and mare, the beasts, the plants, everything. And all life returns to the All-Maker. My uncle explained it to me like this. He said imagine it like a great river. This river flows from the All-Maker, and that river always returns back to its source. So basically, all life eventually flows back to the Allmaker, and is then returned to the world. In that sense, we believe life is all very cyclical, like the seasons. Just like spring follows winter, old age and death is followed by new life. I've always found that very comforting. You know, the thought that we get to live and be young again, in some form. Not unlike how some people are comforted by the thought of an afterlife, I suppose. Anyway, because everything plays a part in this cycle, all life is considered a sacred gift from the Allmaker and needs to be treated as such. Except for maybe Chorus. But fuck those things. Anyway, I appreciate you listening. I hope that wasn't too much for you. You're welcome. Hey, if you're open to it, my uncle used to say a prayer before each hunt. Supposedly it was supposed to grant the Allmaker's blessing for a period of time. If you want, I can recite it any time we're relaxing and grant you the Allmaker's blessing. Just let me know, and I'd be honored. I don't know, maybe it is, but we all need something to hold on to when life gets dark, and that one is mine. The thought that maybe the next life won't be so bad. Maybe it'll contain a bit more happiness. It might be silly to you, but it means a lot to me. Anyway, I'm sorry I lost my cool a bit, but that hurt. Let's just get out of here, please. Yeah? That's an incredibly generous offer. I haven't really had anywhere to stay since my uncle died. I'm more than happy to accept. It's a fine place to kick my feet up. A step up on Candlehearth Hall, at least. I just hope I can earn my keep by fighting at your side. Thank you. This is more kindness than I'm used to.